Good afternoon, good evening, and hello everyone. Welcome back to yet another rendition of Let's Play with Playism. I am your intrepid host behind the keyboard and the controller, Playism Bryan, and I'm here to give you a good first look at our upcoming shmup slash puzzle game Murasaki. I almost say puzzle game with a little bit of hesitation because I feel that that tends to add a very casual air to things, and that's the last thing I want you to think of when it comes to Murasaki. Now, we've already had a very positive reception from some people online who have been looking at the game, who have been seeing what we've been teasing out on our Twitter, and they seem to be very, very enthused for what's coming up. For the rest of you who aren't really sure what's going on, I'm going to be giving you a quick preview of what's to come. Murasaki, as you can see right away, has three settings. We have Start, Score, and Collection. The Collection is something that's very interesting about Murasaki. As you play forward with it, you're able to unlock this entire panel of objectives, of achievements, if you will, that help you see everything about the game. One of the biggest things is the story. The story, as you can see, is fragmented out amongst these stars. They tell you a bit about the bosses that you encounter, as well as a little bit about the background story of the game itself. The world and the fable that is Murasaki is incredibly convoluted and strange. But for fans out there of things like Toho, you already understand that there tends to be a very cool mix of mysticism combined with almost pseudo-history that draws the player in, and if you don't care about that, you don't have to even think about it because it's not going to interfere with how you play the game. Also, Murasaki is very well known for its beautiful soundtrack, composed almost entirely by Watson. So if at any point you want to go back and listen to some of the music that you encounter, as long as you've unlocked it, you're able to select these individual tracks here and enjoy them anytime you want. Is there probably an easier way to do this? I don't know, but this is the way that we are offered right in Murasaki. Now, let's get right into the game. Murasaki evolves into 5 chapters. We're going to be starting right with stage number 1, Sumi no Mori, also known as the Forest of Charcoal. There's a nice mix of Japanese and English throughout, but primarily for those who care about the English side, you're going to be reading in English, it's okay. You get to choose one of 2 siblings. We have Kairi and Satsuki. Satsuki and Kairi both have very different styles when it comes to the game. We're going to be showing off first Kairi, who is seen as balanced and safe for beginners. Do not by any means think that this means the game is going to be easy. It is far from it. But we're going to show you a bit about that right now. For people who are huge fans of the Danmaku genre, you're going to see that we don't have the ability to change difficulty out the box. That's okay. I assure you this game is going to be scaling a lot faster than you realize. So let's get into it. Kairi, let's begin. Right away you see that we're in this slightly wider than normal vertical shooter. Now this little enemy has just sent out things, so I can just go ahead and tag him with a bullet. And the end. Shoot again. Alright, so far no big deal. Up 2 enemies. Let's go ahead and try and unload. Aha! Only 1 shot at a time. This is one of the majesties that comes with Murasaki, the crux that kind of evolves. You are only able to shoot out 1 bullet at a time. In Kairi's case, it's at least very fortunate that it bounces all around the place. What you're going to have to do is you'll see these orange shapes that just appeared on the world. Those are actually explosive tiles. As they hit each other and collide into each other, they create a chain reaction that will create a massive explosion. There are the 2 types. There are these orange ones, which I honestly prefer. And there's also these blue ones that can sometimes give some really cool angles. There's not really any benefit to one or the other that I've seen so far, but I personally prefer the orange just because I feel like I can work out in my head which way I want to bounce these around. After you destroy some of the bullets that the enemies drop, they become these purple pointers. Those you can safely collect, and they will go ahead and charge you up a little bit, as well as adding to your overall score. As you can see, I just crashed into a blue target. I wasn't supposed to do that. It took off a bit of my health, and it sounded a little bit like a pot crashing. If I crash into any of these here, the gray or blue ones, again, I can make them disappear, but that does affect my health. Alright, I've been talking too much. It's time to clean a house a little bit before I get overwhelmed. Oh my god, here they come. Now, another great part about Kairi is because her weapon has such a long range, you're able to ricochet it off the back wall in order to kind of get one of those trickier shots. It does not create as much of a feedback as I would like, so for example, you see it just kind of gently moves along after you shoot it. In our next Let's Play, we're going to take a look at Satsuki, who I personally believe is the significantly stronger of the 2, not only if you're a more advanced player, but I just feel personally that being able to have her stronger attack plays out a lot more in your favor. Now, as you can see, since it's not really a traditional shmup, you're kind of left in a weird position where you're like, okay, how often do I want to trigger these attacks? How often do I want to go ahead and set up these chain reaction explosions? You're not really certain how often or how frequent these enemy encounters are going to be coming in. You don't want to go ahead and blow up all your targets trying to get just a few, and then have this new massive wave just kind of implement. If you are left in a position where you just kind of feel that the odds are completely against you for whatever reason, that is the time to go ahead and fire up a special attack. Well, I'm going to save that because it looks like up, and our first bosses arrive. The bosses, of course, have their own attack patterns. You can try and get the bosses in the explosions from the shapes, but one thing that's going to really help you is if you wait until the bosses drop a plethora of those, what do we call them, bullets, spheres, whatever. If you can go ahead and catch those in an explosion, catching them in an explosion causes them to turn into spikes and then fire at the boss. That's how you do it. It's a lot of bobbing and weaving. Shuck and jive, shuck and jive. For people who are used to just the non-stop frantic nature of some of our other games, you know, I feel like I've said Toho a lot, but really when it comes down to it, that's the shooter that everybody measures against everything else. You got your Raidens out there. Some people really prefer, let's see, what did I always love growing up? I guess Gradius. And who can forget a little something called I-20,000? If you guys haven't played that, you are doing yourself a disservice. Okay, the screen is starting to become overwhelming, so it's time to play Street Sweeper with our special attack. Let's go ahead and charge that up. Wrong button. Well played, Brian. Charging, 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 and we're good. Bam. Now, the two siblings each have different special attacks, so what we just saw with Kairi is exclusive to what he does? She does? I am still very confused with the genders of some of these characters, and that really does not matter in the long run of things, but you know how it is. You're like, man, I really think that dude's cool. And they're like, oh, that's a girl. And you're like, oh, wow, I did not know that. And I'm trying to figure out if I should feel like a butt for not being certain. Yes, the dialogue that comes out of the bosses is definitely a little bizarre, but I assure you that it all plays into the overall story. Though exactly what that story is, I could not begin to tell you. Boom! So again, the explosions are where you're going to do the most amount of damage, but if you have just a clean shot with your own blaster, take it! Don't hesitate! Alright, so just for a direct comparison, thanks for sitting in on that level, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the Charcoal Forest one more time. Ooh! We unlock some new stuff. The collection menu will glitter and glow whenever you have new things that haven't yet been checked. So let's go ahead and take a look at those, shall we? Ooh. While investigating a key site, a prince overheard a performance by the quartet and was spellbound. He invited the four to his birthday festival, asking them to perform a piece. He thought that showing the four worldlets in harmony could express his ideals, unaware that, in others' eyes, this was seen as an unthinkably reckless act. Some of you might be lost right from the get-go. I have bad news. This is Story A Part 1. Again, there's a lot of very ethereal and lofty ideology that goes into this. Some of it can be confusing, some of it can be just outright bizarre, but I assure you when you get right down to it. Oh, and here's the quartet. A group of performers composed of 4 men and women. Those 3 of them opposed the politicians of E and fled, but were captured. One's ears were removed, one's eyes were crushed, and another's tongue and throat were smeared with poison. They were executed in a manner symbolizing string instruments as an example to others. Why do we keep localizing games with absolute horror stories behind them? Well, let's go back then. I want to show you stage 1 one more time, this time in the hands of Satsuki. Satsuki, again, speed, fast, range, short, explosion, strong, special, use wisely. What do they say for Kairi? Ah, great defense. Okay. Well, Satsuki is definitely the more offensive of the 2 twins, and not because they have very radical viewpoints, but as you can see, the bullets travel a much shorter distance, but pack just a bit more punch. They fly out faster. So if you don't mind getting up close and personal, you can actually do a good amount of sweeping with Satsuki as is, but of course I recommend waiting for the shiny shapes Because watch this. Bam. They fly around like crazy because Satsuki packs a punch. This again asks you to employ quite a bit more strategy, because you will find yourself sending things flying where you did not intend. Kairi, I kind of like it because you can basically be like, I want to get to point A from point B, boom, done. I also have a feeling that Satsuki has a little bit more kick with the orange panels than the blue panels. I think that's because she's wearing a red, she's wearing a red hat. Yeah, buddy. Alright, so as you can see, I've set myself up very nicely for this group that's coming in. Oh, adorable. And they die. My point system is off the hook. I am loving it. I know this might seem really easy, but I've had a long time to work out how to play this, and also the generation of the parts isn't entirely random, so you can usually start to gauge how the waves are going to look. But again, when your back's to the wall, you can't really bounce off the wall like you can with Kairi. So you still have to kind of be careful, you still have to really plan out your strategy. Oof. And, well, I've got 4 special attacks. Let's use one now. Street sweep up! I don't understand why they say use it wisely. It just destroys everything. That's like saying use the holy hand grenade wisely when you're playing Worms Armageddon. I mean, kind of, but at the same time, as long as you huck it in the general direction of what you want to kill, you're gonna get the job done. Shouts out my sick contemporary Worms Armageddon reference. Are they up to something else now, like Worms World Party? I have no idea. I appreciate everything Team 17's done, but I'll be real honest, I have not had time to play a Worms game in a long time. Alright, but enough about Worms trivia. We are getting overwhelmed. I have severely overestimated how well I can do with Kairi. Also, I've just called it the wrong name, which, as any sibling will tell you, if you get called the wrong name, it's infuriating. Shoot you in the face, shoot you in the face. That's how I roll. I don't see any shapes, so I'll just shoot you in the face. Okay? Yeah, are you coming over here? Are you coming over here? Yeah! Bam! Punch it up! Sweet! Baby Jesus, there it is. Things are going crazy! I've never actually listened to other, like, bullet hell Toho Let's Plays. Do the people playing those bother speaking, or are they just, like, tongue stuck between the teeth, like, focusing so hard it's almost painful? I honestly don't know. And I'm not trying to do any disservice to any of the bullet hell Let's Players, because clearly you're all sitting at home just going absolutely nuts with how poorly I play. And I respect you for holding your tongue and letting me play. Yep. Ah, see what I mean? Too much kick. And, okay, you wanna do this? You wanna do this? Fine. Here, we'll end this my way. Oh, look at that! And she breaks like glass. Alright, so that is our first look at Murasaki. If there's any interest in it, we would be happy to bring you more of this incredibly interesting and kind of highly bizarre shmup at a later time, but we want to at least get this first look out there so that everybody could take a look, everybody could kind of see what we mean, because when you read the description, it's not really accurate. You're like, what? It's shapes and geometry and you have to use a protractor? No, there's a lot of shooting, there's a lot of explosions, there's a lot of thinking that goes into it, and honest to God, I would probably recommend trying with Kairi before anything else. So, thank you so much, guys, for coming and sitting in on this. I hope that you enjoyed this first look. Murasaki will be dropping on the Playism store on February 5th, and it'll be coming to Steam in the near future. Again, if you pick it up through Playism, you'll be getting a free Steam key to go along with your DRM-free copy. So, hey, I'm just saying, it's $5. why wouldn't you want to go ahead and get an amazing game that's probably going to make you smash your controller? Thanks for staying in with me. This has been Playism Bryan, reminding you once again that if your screen is covered in bullets, then you're definitely in the wrong part of town. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all later. Thanks, bye.